Hi, how's everybody doing? It's Crazy Monkey here. So we're late September. There's even a little bit of snow. Last night it snowed up in the mountain. A few inches of snow. Just a beautiful September day. It's in the mid 50s, maybe 60 degrees. Leaves are just starting to change color. Still mostly green, but you see some yellow, some oranges, some reds. Just started to be in the month of fall. I mean, we're late September, but you know, the season of fall has just started. And I cannot wait till this winter. Hopefully it'll be an awesome ski season. So right now I want to talk about how, in my opinion, we can rebuild this country and make America great again. You know, I think that what we need to do, I've said this before, we need to eliminate the welfare state. Eliminate the welfare state, gotta eliminate that welfare, gotta eliminate that Section 8, gotta eliminate that welfare state. That's very important. Another thing we gotta do is we gotta eliminate alimony. Alimony, that's gotta be eliminated. We gotta eliminate alimony. That's another thing we gotta do. Another thing we gotta do is we gotta legalize prostitution. That's another thing that's gotta be done. If we're gonna make America great again, if we're gonna make women great again, we gotta do those things. We gotta get rid of the welfare state, get rid of alimony, legalize prostitution. You know, what's happened in America, I'll be honest with you, what's happened is you got a society where women are just throwing the men away in the trash, unless the guy makes like $100,000 a year. You know, because the reality is the woman gets such a welfare package now. She gets so much money with the welfare package. The welfare package, the big government doesn't criticize her if she gains 50, 100 pounds overweight, obese. Big government don't care. So a lot of these women, they just want to go on welfare and just get 100 pounds obese, get 300 pounds and just be mega obese. You know, you see this more and more in our society now. You see massive obesity. You see it in the men, but you see it more in the women. And it ties in with the welfare mentality. It really does. It ties in with the welfare mentality where these women, they don't want blue-collar guys making 50 grand a year. They don't want blue-collar guys. They look at blue-collar guys making 50 grand a year. They look at mid-level white-collar guys making 50, 60 grand a year. They look at them as garbage. They don't want them. They want the 100,000 figure guy. They want the six-figure income guy. They want the guy making 200,000 a year. That's what they want. So you have a lot of these women wanting these guys making 200,000 a year, and there's just not enough of those guys to go around. So what's happening is the guys who do make the 200,000 a year in places like New York, San Francisco, especially New York, especially in the finance sector and Wall Street in New York, those $200,000 salary alpha males in New York City, they just become the alpha males and they just F these women and they shock them, they F them and they shock them, they F them and they shock them. And then these women get 40, they get menopausal, and then they just become cat ladies. That's what happens. And what you have is you have just millions and millions of women are chasing after these guys making 200,000 a year. It's like when you create a society of a lot of poor people, what tends to happen, and this is true, this happened before during the Gilded Era. I think it was like the 1880s, 1890s, 1910, 1920, in this Gilded Era. What happened is the wealth inequality got really extreme. The rich had all the money and the poor had nothing. And then what happened is a lot of the women back then, they turned into like vicious gold diggers. Back then, a lot of the women were vicious gold diggers, desperately trying to get like the factory owner. They wanted the factory owner. So what would happen back then, this is like the 1880s and stuff, 1910 and stuff, and the Gilded Era, like over 100 years ago, is you'd have like 20 women in the factory and they'd all get like gonorrhea. All 20 women would have gonorrhea, and they'd be like, how'd that happen? Because they all had sex with the factory owner, because the factory owner was like a multimillionaire, and back then that was like a lot of money. And they all had sex with him because they were all trying to get him for a relationship. They all wanted him. So then he had sex with all of them, and then they find out he had gonorrhea, and he obviously gave all 20 women gonorrhea. So that was what was happening, and that was like very common back in like the 1890s and stuff, back in the Gilded Era. And then what happened is income inequality went down, so people became more equal in the 1950s. So in the 1950s, you could be like a blue-collar guy, make good money, have a brick house, have a Buick, have a Cadillac, and have a good life, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of women then went for those guys, and then you had family. So you had like the era of the strong family in the 1950s, because income inequality went lower, so people became more equal in the 1950s. And then what happened now in our society now is we're becoming more like the 1890s, where there's massive income inequality. And then what happens is the woman in that type of system, just like in 1890, now the women are going back to that. They're reverting back to that mentality of the 1890s, where it's like they just become these vicious gold diggers where they just want like the rich guy only. They just ignore all the like middle level guys. Not all women are like this, but a lot of them are. And they just ignore the mid-level guys, and they just want these high-end alpha males that make to $200,000 a year. So you have just a bunch of women, like 80% of the women chasing after like 10% of the guys. Literally, that's how bad it is. And then what's happening is now we see the marriage rates are plummeting. We see divorce rates skyrocketing. We see society collapsing. We see the family collapsing. And a lot of it's caused by women and their extremist hypergamy, which is basically being a gold digger. That's basically what that is. And it's totally wrecking our society. So how do we change that? Well, what we got to do is we got to get rid of the welfare state. We got to get rid of the welfare state, because what the welfare state does is it gives these women a huge incentive just to go on welfare, get the $50,000 welfare package. And why should these women be with a guy that makes 30 or 40 when they can get the welfare and make 50? So essentially, a lot of women, not all, but a lot of women, they will take the best economic deal they can get. So if they can get a guy that makes $100,000 a year, they'll take that. If they get a welfare state package that makes $50,000, they'll take the welfare package. They'll get married to Uncle Sam Socialist. And then if a guy makes 30, they'll throw that guy away. They don't want him. They just throw him away because he's the least desirable out of those three choices in the woman's eyes. And again, this is just the way it is with most women. Not all women are like this, but most are. And that's why our society is collapsing. That's why you see so many baby mamas on the welfare. You know, you see so many of these baby mamas on the welfare. And the reason why is because these women basically, they don't want to be with a guy that makes $30,000 a year. You know, they don't want that. They want to be with the guy that makes 100. They can't get the guy that makes 100. So instead, they decide to get the welfare. And that's why our society's collapsing. Once we get rid of welfare, once we get rid of vagina-money, alimony, once we get rid of that shit, a lot of women will reset their hypergamy. Their hypergamy will get reset. And then they'll start to be with these guys that make 30, 40, 50,000 a year. They'll start to be with those guys. And then relationships will go up. Marriage will go up. And the reason why prostitution needs to be legalized is because that also will reset hypergamy in females. Legalized prostitution is a great, wonderful way to basically stop these gold diggers. Legalized prostitution is absolutely wonderful because it stops these gold diggers in their tracks. Think about it. You're a guy, you meet this gorgeous woman, she's really hot, and you want to do her. Well, in order to do that, you have to take her out to all these fancy restaurants. You have to spend all this money. You have to get all these fancy clothes. You have to get some fancy cologne. You're going to pay thousands and thousands of bucks just to bang her out, literally, just to get up in her. You are literally going to pay thousands of dollars. It's stupid. It's so stupid. And so if you make prostitution illegal and you're taking a guy's car because he gets caught trying to have sex with a prostitute, so you take his car. They do that in a lot of cities. They take the guy's car if he has sex with a prostitute. That's actually very common practice. I've seen this on many TV shows. If a guy gets caught having sex with a prostitute, the police will take his car. So a lot of men are too scared to have sex with a prostitute because they don't want to lose their vehicle. They don't want to lose their way to work. They don't want to lose their vehicle, their way to make money. So most men will not have sex with prostitutes because they're too scared of the consequences, all right? If prostitution is legalized, a lot of men are going to stop dating these gold-digging whores. They're going to stop dating these gold-digging whores. These gold-digging whores, they're going to stop dating these gold-digging whores because it costs a lot of money to date a gold-digging whore. You got to take her out to fancy restaurants. I was seeing this video on YouTube, on a YouTube vlog, and it was like this one guy, he brought like an undercover camera, and he was dating this gold-digging whore, and it was shocking. The restaurant was like $400, and the woman's like, "Are you going to get me a gift card for $1,000 so I can go shopping and get my purse?" I was like in say shock. It was like, this guy was like a decent-looking guy. He was like probably in his 30s, and this woman, she was hot. She was hot, probably in her 20s, late 20s, maybe, I don't know. And it's like, I'm like, this guy's going to spend thousands of bucks just to bang her out, just to get up in her. It's such a waste of money. It's such a freaking waste of money. And then that makes these women just get these women turn into these narcissistic. They're obsessed with themselves, just vicious, gold-digging, money-hungry whores. And if you legalize prostitution, it's so wonderful because then that guy, he doesn't have to meet a gold-digging whore to get good sex. He can just go to the cat house, the Victorian cat house. He can go to the Victorian cat house, folks, I'm trying to find the trail. I can't find it. I'm like a little lost right now. He can go to Victorian Cat House, y'all, and he can get like a really good looking woman, or he could get like 2 really good looking women for like $500. He could get like a 3-hour package, $500, and he could get 2 like gorgeous women for like $500 and have great sex. And it's so much easier. It's so much easier because it's like you just pay like a fraction of what you would have paid for the gold digging whore, and you get what you want right away. It's so good. You get what you want right away. You pay the money, you get what you want, and then the next day you could go skiing. The next day you go hiking. You don't have to do all these stupid dates. You don't have to take a woman out 5 times just to get up in her and waste all this freaking money. You don't gotta waste all this money on this gold digging whore. No, you just go to the Victorian Cat House. You get exactly what you want real quick, real quick, real quick. You get what you need real quick. It's the best deal. And then you just pay $300, $400, $500. You get what you want, and then the very next day you go to a ski resort. The very next day you go hiking. The very next day you take a vacation to Vegas. You go to Vegas, go gambling in Vegas. You don't have to deal with these gold digging whores taking them out on 50 dates, 20 dates at these fancy restaurants and all that bullshit. You don't have to deal with that shit. I just want to say that real quick.